Oh, Jesus, fuck, this song was way shorter than I thought it was. I'm gonna let it go on loop. Not everybody's here, and I need to, like, explain what the fuck is happening, because there's always people who are like, what the fuck is happening? So this song's called Space Harrier Arcade Cabinet. I just thought it would be appropriate because we're still in the midst of the the reviewing of the arcade games. Although Space Harrier is behind us, I think. We got some cool art here. Before I explain what the fuck is happening, I need to clear my throat! Okay. Sorry, I hope it's not going to be like that other stream where I'm just clearing my throat the entire time, but I don't want to sound shitty. We got some cool art here from Miniquini999. Very cool. Very cool stuff. This is just, I guess they took requests. I don't know. I was trying to read what the shirt of the guy in the background says, but I, for the life of me, cannot figure it out. Oh, you know what it is? Twitch user... Is that... Oracle? Oh, that's Twitch user Oracle. I just realized. But anyway. Yeah, we're gonna do reviews today. This is me looking at my review list. I like the attention to detail that they had all the different colors, including the NA, like, pink color on the list. But... I'm going to be looking at, to those of you who've never joined us for one of these before, a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet. There's going to be no music. I know that's a bit of a turnoff for some people, but I encourage you to put on your own music in the background. I kind of also think, part of the reason why I do that is because I think a lot of people are probably going to listen to these in the background while they're like playing a video game or something. So you can like leave the game audio on and shit like that. But this is just me going through a list of all the games that I've streamed. Thank you, Miniquini999, by the way. Great stuff. It's rare that we get fan art for the reviews segment. Usually I just started off with random bullshit. Excuse the fuck out of me. So, yep, this is what we're going to be looking at for the next maybe like 2 hours or so. And... I've just been giving these games a number rank and whether or not I recommend them. Basically, the Siskel and Ebert thumbs up or thumbs down. And then NA is for certain arcade games. I don't think we'll even have that come up ever again, honestly. But it's for games that I don't feel like I was qualified to give a grade on because they like had broken controls or some shit like that. I'm trying to kind of speed through this a little more than I used to be. For some reason I put all the like Nintendo games right at the beginning and I talked about them, like all of them super in-depth and for a really long time, and then I don't know, and like yeah, I put a lot of like big series and stuff towards the top. Now we're like kind of in that mid section where there's like a lot of arcade games, a lot of whack games that hopefully we're gonna be able to breeze through. There's like demos and shit. I mean, fucking like Kart Fighter, Sopranos Road to Respect. And then the end will probably slow down because it's got fucking like Dark Souls and the humongous entertainment games, PopCap, Street Fighter. Anyway. But right now we're on Bionic Commando. This was a huge disappointment. I learned after playing this that apparently the NES version of the game is like considered the actual classic and nobody cares, plays, remembers the arcade version. Like it's basically forgotten. I didn't know that. I was like, what's the first Bionic Commando game? Because I know he's in like Bionic Commando shows up in like MVC3 or some shit, but it's like the weird reboot one with the hot dog arm. So I really feel like I learned nothing from playing this too. At least with Strider, like now I'll understand a slight amount of things about Strider with in like MVC and shit like that. But Bionic Commando, basically all you get from playing this is he's a dude, he has a robot arm, you swing on the arm. And the thing that really fucked me up about this game is you can't jump. Those of you who watched the stream will remember me ranting about this for quite a bit. It's not impossible to make a good platformer where you don't have an actual jump button, but your means of getting around had better be fucking amazing. If you're gonna just forego the jump button altogether, and the grapple hook just isn't refined enough, it just isn't fun enough for me to enjoy this game at all. It was quite frustrating. So, the wife arm. I'm sorry, do I need to like drink water and then gargle? I'm really at the point where I need to gargle? I might need to mute because I need to fucking gargle. Does anybody remember the guy on the Muppet Show who would, and I quote, gargle Gershwin? He would, I don't even, that's all I have to say about this. The guy that gargled Gershwin, that's what made me think of. Fuck. Anywho, Bionic Commando's bad. It's not fun. It had that arcade game issue too, where if you're hitting even slightly down on the joystick, then your character will just come to a complete stop because the game detects that you're pressing down. I find it hard to believe that that's not annoying on the actual hardware, but I think playing it on Xbox controller kind of made it worse. So if you, for whatever reason, need to play this, I guess play it with keyboard controls, because it'll probably be less frustrating. It was really bad. I really didn't like it. I don't remember it having like good music or anything too. It was just frustrating. Definitely would not recommend. I've not played the NES version, but I guess if you really want to play a classic Bionic Commando game, play the NES version. Bionic Commando, to my knowledge, has 2 reboot series, and I think they came out in the same year. Am I right on that? And one of them's a 2D platformer, and one of them's like the weird 3D hot dog wife arm one. And then the 2D one also had a sequel, I think, which is Bionic Commando Rearmed or some. I don't remember. I've not played them. But it's a weird series. It's kind of scraped along by the skin of its teeth a lot. Strider I found to be very frustrating too. It was kind of, this game is either painfully easy or like frustratingly difficult in like the last 2 levels or so, where there's just those really obnoxious platforming segments where there's like a million enemies and you're on this weird slope and you have this really weird like archy jump. And there was that weird boss that like fucks with your gravity that's kind of cool but really frustrating. And then like the early levels of the game, it's just like you literally just walk forward and jump and spam the slash and you'll win. And I remember the bosses die in like 2 seconds in this game too. You like walk into a room and there's like a giant robot tiger and you go shing 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 and then it's just dead. I don't know why Strider like turns into a Mega Man power shot projectile when he dies. This was something that always confused me. I think the guy's name is Strider Hiryu, right? I don't know. This game certainly had better graphics than Bionic Commando. I don't know why I'm comparing it like that, but it's not really a comparable game to Bionic Commando besides being a platformer. It has a jump button, wisely. It's just got kind of hokey controls and feels like it could be a lot better. And this is another one that has a modern reboot. Maybe that's why I'm comparing it to Bionic Commando, because this one has there's like a Metroidvania, right? Like a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania Strider reboot that I've heard is actually really good. So maybe at some point I'll have to check that out. But the arcade original was just kind of, it was like Shinobi a little bit. It was like the cooler version of Shinobi 1, where Shinobi was just kind of lame but like functional, and then it got frustrating. It's kind of like that. It's like got better variety though. Still wouldn't necessarily recommend, but it was like, I don't know. This one was fine. It was like a solid 4. Which I know sounds bad, but it was better than Bionic Commando. Altered Beast. This one is cool. This got kind of a neat idea where you get power-ups over the course of each level and transform into some sort of beast, and then at the end you basically go supersonic mode, which is kind of nice. It's like a fun idea. Uh, Controls are kind of slow and sluggish. I think when you're not powered up at all, I mean, I know you're supposed to feel maybe kind of weak, but the punches and kicks that you get are so stubby and awkward and hard to use that it's kind of easy to miss a power-up. And then it has that Gradius problem where if you're falling behind on the power-ups or if you lose them, I don't think you can lose them in Altered Beast, but if you like miss one because there's only certain opportunities to get the power-ups, then the entire rest of the level is just going to be hell. And there's like a certain point where if you do badly enough, it's just fucking impossible to kill the enemies with the amount of damage that you do. Because it's like every level has like power scaling across it. And I don't know. It felt kind of sloppy in that regard. Some arcade games have that kind of issue, and it really seems like a glaring flaw nowadays, but I guess they just... they didn't care because they were like, hey, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? They die and give us more quarters? Win-win. So it's a neat game. I think this one... if I recall correctly, there's like a superior Genesis version that people were telling me about. I don't know if it's actually superior, but people were like, yeah, the Genesis version of this is good. And we saw Altered Beast in the opening, that like... that weird little cutscene at the beginning of... the like Genesis games collection that I have on Steam, that little trailer thing in that game. So I don't know, maybe if you want to play this game, check out the Genesis version. Maybe it's a little better. But it was cool. It was cool for what it was, and I really liked the fun transformations, and especially the end of each level where you get to go just absolute ape shit, fighting some fucked up weird looking boss. It was cool. I right on the fence on recommending this one, but I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna be a Scrooge. In terms of a number grade, it was like a 5, maybe. Let's give it like a 4.5. I always remember that like 5 is like Super Mario Brothers, right? Hold on. Yeah, the original Super Mario Brothers is like a perfectly mid game. And so when I'm thinking about giving a game a 5, I'm like, is it better than Super Mario Brothers? And maybe that's I've gone on like speeches about how you shouldn't compare the numbers of different grades of games in this list, and then I constantly do it. I constantly do that. So I'm just a complete fucking hypocrite, and you can hate me now. Hold on. I have my like desktop audio muted, but I am in fact listening to ASMR, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Normally I listen to music, just my own music, but just relax. Golden Axe. This was one that I played this maybe at like a bad time because I had already played a fuck ton of beat 'em ups recently, and I just was kind of sick of them. It's just a medieval beat 'em up fantasy thing. Doesn't this have... this one had a weird crossover with Strider, didn't it? Or Altered Beast, actually. Because there was an enemy. This blew my mind, and I did not like plan for this in any way, shape, or form. But I think one of the mounts in Golden Axe was like an enemy from Altered Beast. Like, canonically, they are the exact same thing. So... that kind of blew my mind because I'd played these games right back to back, completely coincidentally. But I didn't really see much wrong with Golden Axe from what little I saw of it. It kind of reminds me of Heretic and Hexen and like Red Earth, kinda, where it took an action-based gameplay and tried to insert RPG elements and like inventory management and shit into it. Which I always think is interesting when it's done, but it's never like my favorite part of the games that do it. You know, like I would rather Heretic, Hexen, Red Earth didn't have the RPG elements, honestly, but it is kind of interesting when they do it. So, I mean, props to you, Golden Axe, for doing that at least. It seemed functional. I don't know. I played as the funny dwarf guy for like 2 seconds, and then I was like, okay, I don't want to play this. But seemed respectable. I'd take my number grade here with a grain of salt, though, because I barely fucking played the thing. You know, I would probably... Let's just give this a 5. Fuck it. After all that I said about like the number grades, just give it a fucking 5. Screw it. Also, the conditional formatting broke again, so I just need to copy and paste them sloppily like this. I don't think I would recommend it. Beat 'em ups have never been my favorite. They're a weird format. They all, even this one, they all kind of feel the same, more or less, because you're just kind of mashing buttons, and then when you get to the point where mashing buttons doesn't work, I feel like I always feel horribly ill-prepared to fight, like, bosses, especially... Is it confirmed that beat 'em ups... I'm sure it varies from game to game, but is it common practice for beat 'em up games to, like, power scale so that if you're playing with 4 players, it's not just, like, 4 times as easy as playing it with 1 player? Because a lot of times when I'm playing these 1 player, I just feel, when I get to a boss, I'm like, wow, they literally just never die, because I'm just not damaging them enough. Excuse me. Okay, moving on to Arkanoid. Yeah, Golden Axe I barely spent any time with, so again, take that with a grain of salt. Arkanoid. This is Arkanoid. It's like Breakout, and it's got a fuck ton of levels. Didn't this one had a comparable amount of levels to like Bubble Bobble, which is one of those situations where I'm just like, I'll never beat this because I will get bored by the end of like I'll be bored by the time I'm done with all of these boards. But it is neat to play. I think this is going to sound like such a scrub quote, but the ball moves too fast in Arkanoid. I could never keep up with it. It was, and especially like when you get multi-ball, it's just like, it's in the hands of fate there. Like, if you want to keep multiple balls up, Lamau, then sometimes you're just shit out of luck because you straight up just can't move fast enough and the balls are moving too fast. There was also a weird thing in this game. There was like a power-up that just let you skip a level. That seemed pretty OP and weird, and I never really understood what was going on with that. It's kind of a flabby game, I feel like, and thankfully this is a formula that has been tweaked over and over so many times and redone so many times that I'm sure all the improvements that needed to be made on it have been made in, like, whatever fucking Neopets version of it I played as a kid. Do I remember was there a direct Arkanoid Neopets thing? Because so many Neopets games were just old arcade game ripoffs. I don't remember. Arkanoid was neat, but I honestly don't think... It also has, like, the slightest bit of plot, but it's so just, like, cursory. Like, it barely matters, I think. Maybe if you beat the game, you get more plot, but it's... I don't know. I feel like this game is kind of like Dr. Mario in the sense that almost nobody's actually going to beat the game. Did you guys know... I'm sure I mentioned this when I reviewed it ages ago. Dr. Mario has an ending cutscene. There's an ending to Dr. Mario where it reveals, spoiler alert, that the germs, or the viruses, are aliens. And they go back up to their mothership. And it plays like a terrible song. It's pretty epic. So maybe Arkanoid has something like that, but I don't know. Game was not amazing. I'd give it like a 3.5. Fuck my ass. This is annoying having to copy and paste this. I swear I have the conditional formatting set to do this entire row, by the way, but it just breaks constantly, so I don't know. No, just play one of the million better versions of this game that has come out since. Double Dragon, really not much to say about this one. It is a really lame beat-em-up. It's an early beat-em-up, so maybe it gets the benefit of the doubt slightly, but it's just nothing compared to something like Final Fight, or like Aliens vs. Predator, or Alien versus Predator. I have it right there to reference back to. Okay, I'm gonna do like the fucking throat clear to end all throat clears. Hold on. Okay, I tried my best. I still don't think it's gone. I'm so sorry. I might just have to be going every once in a while. Double Dragon. No, it's not fun. The graphics are rudimentary, and it wasn't enjoyable to play, and the music kind of pierced my ears it didn't pierce my ears. It was piercing music that hurt my ears, and this game pierced my ears and called me a bitch and drank all my soda. So yeah, no, it's bad. It's like an early beat 'em up, and beat 'em ups I already explained I think are kind of lame, but this one just really has nothing going for it. It's maybe there's some later Double Dragon game that like was a lot better, but otherwise this series did not impress. We're gonna do. It was really bad. Like I really have almost nothing good to say about this game. Good thing we're in the arcade games like Slum Zone, where I can copy and paste a nice 1.5. Gauntlet. This game was kind of funny. I understand there are many later versions and reboots of this game. It's like a top-down. It's a little bit like Golden Axe in that it's like a standard fantasy setting type. I don't want to. It's not a beat 'em up. It's kind of like Binding of Isaac. It's almost like a twin-stick shooter. I forget exactly how it controls. I don't think it's actually twin sticks, but it's kind of that same. It's like Smash TV. Isometric situation. I really hate this throat situation I got going on here. It's like I started smoking less and then my throat got more fucked up. Is it like healing it? And it, whatever. Gauntlet was funny. One of the funniest things about this game is that there's voice acting. When your character gets hit, they go, and there's like other weird voice lines and audio. I think there's like no music, or the music's very quiet, so a lot of the game you're just going to be hearing shing 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 as your character throws like axes or whatever. I played the like bruiser berserker guy who throws axes, but I didn't try out the other characters. The really funny thing about this game is that if you put in a bunch of quarters, it like increases your maximum health. It's like the number of quarters that you put in, the number of coins, directly corresponds to the amount of health that you have in the game. So if you're playing this game on an emulator, like a nutty boy, you can just spam the coin button and live forever, which is kind of funny. But it also speaks volumes about this game's enjoyability, that even with infinite health, I didn't care enough to play it all the way through. I think it's got... I'm not even sure if this is a thing in Spelunky, but it's got a thing that kind of reminded me of something I'm pretty sure is in Spelunky, where you can like skip the first few like levels. You can like skip a certain amount of levels right at the beginning and like get dropped in later in the game, but with less, without the power-ups that you would have got from the first level. Which is kind of a neat concept. I think like at the beginning of the game, you like choose which level you're going to go to, and you can kind of skip ahead if you're a pro player who knows what they're doing, or if you're rich as fuck, or if you're playing on an emulator. But this was another one that just had a ton of levels, very bland. It was kind of like Vampire Survivor in the fact that there were just a fuck ton of enemies and like enemy spawners, and you're just fighting back like hordes and hordes. Maybe it's like an early Muso, guys. Tunnel guy shortcuts. Sure, yeah. I'm glad I'm not completely talking out of my ass there. I've never actually like played much Spelunky. I think I've talked about this before. Was there a freeware version of Spelunky? Because I swear I remember downloading a free version of Spelunky off like indiegames.com or whatever. And it was like the freeware pick of the week or something. There was, okay. Because I was like, I'm sure I've played Spelunky, but I don't think I own Spelunky. I don't think I have like any like time on Steam with Spelunky. Browser version, yeah. Anyway. We got sidetracked. Gauntlet, I would not recommend. It is kind of funny though, and I understand there's like good follow-ups to this game as well. Like this game started a legacy of actual fun games, but the original one I found difficult to enjoy. And it's got so many levels, and I just didn't want to like slog through all of it. It's got some interesting design decisions though. Let's give it a 3.5. I'm probably gonna need to copy paste that son of a bitch. That's fine. Son was cool. This is another one that I played so that I could get just even the slightest bit of context for MVC, because in MVC 2 they made like like furry monkey girl Sun persona character and put her like right smack dab in the middle on the front cover of the box. In fact, can we bring this up? MVC2 box art. This always kind of like threw me for a loop. This is like the box art for a few versions and just like a common piece of official art for the game. The main character in like the very fucking center is Sun, the monkey girl, referencing this old ass arcade game that I'm not even sure has much like fandom outside of Japan. It's based on Journey to the West. I think the character is supposed to be like Sun Wukong, except it's Sun because it's I don't know. Sun and Son are different things, but I guess it's like a pun, or maybe, I don't know. It was a cute game. This is kind of from around the same era and same type of games as like Q*bert. Like, remember all those ones I did in the really early arcade game streams? It kind of feels like it fits in with those. And like Donkey Kong and like Popeye. This is a Popeye core game. It was fun. It also had that issue where I think it would honestly be more fun to play on keyboard than on controller, because up and down are very sensitive, and if you tap even slightly in that direction, you've heard this spiel a lot of times, so I'm not even going to finish that sentence. But there was that control issue. Otherwise, it was just a fun little thing. I never really spent too much time on it, but it's cute and satisfying. There's really nothing offensive about it. Like, a lot of arcade games have just at least one aspect of it where you're like, wow, this fucking blows chunks. But this was fine. You know? It was okay. I'd maybe give it like a 4.5. I don't think I would like necessarily recommend it. I did learn a little bit from this game, because there's a move in MVC where Sun throws like one of the POW things. There's like a power up. I don't remember if it says POW, but it's like something similar to that. And she like throws a thing at you that transforms you into a giant peach, and then she eats you. She just straight up eats your ass. Eats your ass, eats your peach. But that's a reference to this game because you collect peaches and like all sorts of other... There's like a bunch of like very Japanese-ass stuff that you pick up. Peaches aren't necessarily Japanese-ass, but you know what I mean. There's like the fucking like Monster Hunter Bunny Dongo or whatever the fuck. Anyway, it's a very, very cool Monster Hunter reference back in this 1980s arcade game. Battlezone was neat. This is one of the earliest. I think this game, it's always hard to say with certainty for things like this, because there's always going to be like, oh, well, what about this game? What about Ultima? Whatever, I don't know. This is one of the earliest first-person shooter games, and it's like a tank simulator. And I always remembered when I was younger hearing that like the first video game ever made wasn't actually Pong, it was this weird tank simulator game. And then I finally got around to playing it. It is neat. It's pretty impressive for the time, because the other games that were being made around this time were stuff like Space Invaders and Asteroids, which are a lot more basic. It has 3D graphics. It's like a really, really rudimentary 3D game. And it's kind of impressive from that standpoint. It's got interesting controls. You play as a tank, but you don't actually have what we would consider tank controls. It's kind of like Katamari, actually, where it's like you're controlling the treads of the two wheels of the tank. But kind of neat, unique control scheme. It's got aliens. The uniting feature of all of these like 70s arcade games that we're going to be talking about next is they all have aliens that show up. This was just an early gaming trope, was like every once in a while an alien ship will show up and you need to blow it up. There's this really weird thing that happens in this game when you destroy an alien ship. I don't know if it's even correlated to destroying the alien ship, but like this weird fucking symbol, this like creepypasta event happens where a weird symbol comes out of the sky and like hunts you down and kills you. It's very jarring and scary. Never really understood what was going on with that. Maybe you could shoot it to get extra bonus points. I don't know. But It's a neat game. It's not really worth playing necessarily. These arcade games are getting a bad rep here. There's quite a few that I did recommend though. It's just nearing the end of the arcade games series. I was kind of just trying to like bang out some ones that more have historical significance than actually seemed fun. Like there's a lot of ones here that like were the beginning of a long and prestigious series of games that were actually good. I don't think Battlezone... Actually, has there been like a Battlezone sequel? I bet there has. I bet someone's tried to revive Battlezone. Hold on. Battlezone Gold Edition, out now on PC, PlayStation 4, and ... That's fucking amazing. Yeah, there's actually quite a few Battlezone games. Battlezone 2008, Battlezone 2006, Battlezone Rise of the Attack Dogs, Rise of the Black Dogs. Sorry, I don't know what the fuck I got attack from. Battlezone 2 Combat Commander. Yeah, fuck. Oh, and it looks like the newest Battlezone has like a retro mode where it makes it look like the original. That's cute. Classic mode free update trailer. Hey, that's kind of fun. But yeah, I don't know. It's technically impressive, but it's not actually fun to play. This is yet another one of those ones where I feel like if you watched me stream it, you basically got the experience. There's like the slightly funky controls. Have you played any of the Bomberman arcade games? I didn't know. Did Bomberman start on arcades? Bomberman's one of those series I know nothing about. Like, truly nothing. I own Bomberman 64. I booted it up and played it for like 2 seconds, like 7 years ago, and was like, this is boring, and stopped. Is Bomberman an arcade game character? Well, maybe I'll have to look into this. I don't know. Original game. Arcade style maze-based video game. It's a home computer game. I don't know. Anyway, it's possible that there's just Bomberman arcade games that came out after the origin of the series. We're getting sidetracked again. Battlezone gets... Again, it's really impressive for the time. Like, it's really cool. Probably blew minds back in the 70s, that's for sure. But it's like a 2.5. I mean, it's not terribly fun. Same score as Area 51. Perhaps appropriate. Because they're both about aliens. Now, Asteroids, this one's actually a lot more fun. This is like the most fun of these 3 like 70s arcade games, because a lot of them just aren't very fun. Frankly. We never actually played the original arcade version of Pong, but I figure with Lark and I playing Pongs, I think we got it out of the way. Like, I think whatever minute fucking differences existed in Pongs that differentiate it from original Pong, I mean, you know, besides the obvious, all the different versions, but I think we got the essential experience. Somebody even mentioned, this is getting sidetracked again, somebody mentioned in the comments of Pong Pong Never Die that there was like a glitch in the original Pong that they recreated in Pongs, which is pretty fucking awesome. I don't know if that's actually true, but whatever. Asteroids is actually pretty fun. I remember playing a Flash version of this and Space Invaders when I was younger. Space Invaders is meh. Like, it's just spoiler alert, it's like not the best. It's one of the most famous video games of all time, but it's just not that fun. Especially because it's another one of those ones where infinitely better versions have come out since then. Like, just play fucking like Galaga Arrangement, you know, and you're good. Asteroids is fun. It's got a cool sort of like space physics engine. Neat controls that actually feel fun and satisfying to use. It's got a wacky factor in that there's a button called like warp drive that just teleports you. It's like the fucking infinite improbability drive from Hitchhiker's Guide. It just drops you in some random spot, and that spot can be in the middle of an asteroid and instantly kill you, which I just think is funny. It's just kind of like a desperate last attempt to like try to save yourself, I guess. But it's actually a pretty fun game for what it is. Even I don't know, like I said, when I was younger, I remember my like fucking millennial zoomer ass quite enjoying this game and actually playing like a bit of it, not even realizing that it was a retro game. You know, I just thought it was fun. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say yes. I'm gonna recommend Asteroids. So all these other games, fucking Gauntlet, Double Dragon, Arkanoid, Golden Axe, Altered Beast, Strider, Commando, you can all get fucked. Asteroids is more fun than all of you, and it's like made with like 6 lines. Whatever. I'm gonna give this one like a 5. It's basically fun. It's an early arcade game with a basically fun gameplay loop. Playing like what was that thing, that dude that had like a tier list of games and Pong was placed higher than Stardew Valley? And somebody commented, like, imagine playing Stardew Valley and being like, you know, this is cool, but it's no Pong. That's what this is making me think of. Anywho, Asteroids, it's actually kind of fun. Space Invaders. This is like the least deserving of an explanation game on this entire list. Literally all of you know what Space Invaders is. Even if you don't know it by name, you have seen it. You have seen the sprites from this game. Actually playing it is like not the best. It's vaguely enjoyable, but it's not one of those ones that has aged well because they've iterated on this concept about 1 billion times. Lest we forget, Gorf, okay? Fucking Gorf perfected the formula, a game with a score of 2. No, but like Galaxian and Galaga and shit, just blow this game out of the fucking water. I always will take this opportunity to dispense the fun fact about this game that the reason the aliens get faster as you kill more of them is literally just because the game is keeping track of less sprites on screen and is running quicker, which I just think is so fucking hilarious. They like accidentally invented the difficulty curve, and that's why the last one always goes absolutely ape shit, because the game is like running way faster than it's supposed to. Or maybe not like faster than it's supposed to. I find it hard to believe they didn't notice that was happening and like design around it, but that's always the story that I've heard, is that that's the initial reason why that happens. Okay. Otherwise, I don't know, it's so rudimentary. There's also, lest we forget, Space Invaders 95, The Attack of Lunar Loonies, which is actually a pretty fucking fun game. That uses like the same gameplay mechanics, but just way better and way more exciting, and it's just better in every fucking way. So, no, I would not recommend Space Invaders. You don't even need to play it to like understand the historical significance, because if you've seen the sprites, that's all you need. That's all. If you've seen the little guy with the little antenna, you've done it. Congratulations. Like a 3. I don't know. Hey, the conditional formatting's back for whatever reason. Okay, and boys, that is the end of arcade games, which feels pretty good, although I guess I still have, like, the quagmire of bullet hells down here. Yeah. Which is a few, but we'll get to that when we get there. I feel like a lot of those bullet hells kind of blend together in my mind, so that's going to be one of those ones where I'm going to want to just do them all at once so I can compare them to each other and sort of refresh my memory on what they're even like. Okay, but we're going to move on to Phoenix Box, which is a nothing mobile game that nobody cares about. I played it in high school. I fondly remember whiling away the hours, sitting on the toilet in the high school like public restroom, just playing this game while I was supposed to be in class. It's rudimentary 2D platformer where you play as a little square, and the environment is little squares, and the enemies are little squares. It's weirdly compelling though. Like, I remember it being quite fun. Normally I don't really like mobile games where the controls are like on the screen and you have to tap them, but this one they were pretty simple controls. It's just like you move back and forth and you jump and you have infinite amount of jumps, and you just have to do crazy precision platforming sometimes. The difficulty curve of this game is all over the fucking place. like some of the levels later on are a complete joke, and then some of the like, isn't it like level 19 or something, is like nearly impossible. Like maybe not nearly impossible, but it's like ridiculously difficult and ridiculously precise out of nowhere. It's got a very rudimentary plot about, you know, it's like a joke plot where it's like, you get the cookie if you beat the game, and then when you beat the game, they're like, you got the cookie. But overall, I remember it actually being quite a fun game, and then I found that it was on Steam, and I was like, I gotta stream this, and banged it out in one stream. It is fun. Some of the levels are kind of obnoxious, but they actually have neat ideas. There's like screen wrap, and there's this sort of Badland-esque thing where you can clone your character. There'll be a level where like 50 of your main character spawns in, and you need to like just throw yourself at this ridiculous obstacle until just by like Brownian motion, one of them finally makes it through, which is kind of fun. I don't know. It's really hard to say. This is one of those ones where it's really difficult to tell if I just have nostalgia for it or what. But I'm on the fence about recommending it. It's almost worth doing. There is a later one. There's like a sequel to this called Phoenix Rage that I purchased and I played for a little bit, and it has actual graphics. Like there's a little bit more to it visually, but I remember dropping it pretty fast. I don't know if it was any good. Nobody cares. Like, why am I even talking about this? Because nobody gives a shit. This is one of the most who cares games on this list. But for what it's worth, it is an amount of fun, and I remember enjoying it, even though parts of it were frustrating and it's sloppily designed. 4.5? Let's give it a 5. Like, I know I gave a 5 to Asteroids and then said yes to it, but no, I just don't know if I can recommend it. It's a personal, like, I like this one on a personal level. It's kind of like Sexy Hiking, where I just like it. Just note that my enjoyment of it may just stem from nostalgia. I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of other games I could have played on my phone. Whatever. Actually, it was on my iPod at that time. Because remember you having a separate device to listen to music? It honestly wasn't half bad, because my fucking phone is always running out of MP3 space, because I'm a dinosaur who uses MP3s. Anyhow. Vignettes. This was, I believe, a French game. This was a cool indie game that had a lot going for it. In the end, it got kind of frustrating, though, which sounds weird because it's like kind of an artsy game that doesn't seem like the sort of game that would get frustratingly difficult, but it just got really confusing by the end. It's a very abstract game. This is going to be so hard to describe with words, but it's like, there's always an object in the center of the screen. You can rotate the object to look at it from different sides, and it's like a very simply colored, cel-shaded object. I don't know if it's actually cel shading, but it's got those like flat colors. And if you look at it from a certain angle, it'll be like you're holding like a flashlight, and then you look at it so you're only seeing the bottom of the flashlight, and then you turn it more, and it like turns into like a pan or something, or like a pot or pan. It like morphs into a different object when you see it from a certain perspective. And you're supposed to there's like a road map of getting two different objects through other objects that's really convoluted and confusing, and it was really fun to go through for a lot of it, but at the point where they needed me to go back to specific parts and figure out specific puzzles, it got really confusing and frustrating. But it is a neat idea. There's a lot of cool elements to this game, and it's very cute, and it's got like kind of a neat visual style. It looks, if any of you remember Gnog, the Double Fine game, it kind of has a similar visual style to that. Kind of baby game looking, but very cool. Very cool in a lot of respects. And again, like, recommendation doesn't necessarily correspond to, because, why would I have the recommend column if it just meant, if it's over 5, then that means I recommend it. Like, that's not necessarily the case. I would give this one maybe like a 6.5, though, because it is fascinating, and there are really cool parts to it. Okay, this is Goat Simulator. this is a game that I think a lot of people have already formulated their opinions on. I think the general consensus is you play this game like once, or you watch PewDiePie play it. Who was he the one that made it like famous? I remember people saying this is like PewDiePie game, because I never really partook in the PewDiePie. But it's like it is funny. Like it's not like lazy. I don't know. It is a lazy game, and it's definitely like a joke game. And joke games only have so much value. But to their credit, there are fun things to do in the game. It's neat to I kind of like grappling with the tongue and like double jumping and shit. But it's never one of those games that I would actually... I mean, why would you 100% this game? I'm sure some fucking, like, meme lords have. But just why? Like, literally, why would you do that? It's funny for a few hours, and then you never play it again. I don't know what else to say. Like, has anybody ever booted up Goat Simulator more than maybe 2 or 3 times? Like, I've booted it up probably more times than your average person because I played it, then I showed it to a friend, then I streamed it. So I've probably played this like 3 times totally. But it's also, I guess it's worth mentioning that there's an MMO DLC in this game. Like, there was free DLC that was like MMO mode, and I don't play MMOs, so I didn't really like get it. Like, I was like, okay, whatever. Just take me back to the funny city level. But it is cool. There's, like, secrets to find. There's some fun little details, but in the end, it is just a joke game. Really fucking hard to... I mean, do I even need to recommend it? You've played it. You watching this have played it. It's not necessarily true for everyone, but I would be willing to bet most people, like, it is a ridiculously popular game. It was like one of the first like viral like meme game hits, right? No. It's like a 6 though. It's like a 6. It's hard to say. I don't know. Don't make me explain my dumb takes and opinions. Okay, finally we're gonna get some good fucking food. Like, we've been dicking around for so long. Have we had a single, like, great game this stream? Celeste. This is one of the best games I've ever played. I love this game so much. I remember, I had a weird arc with this game, because I played it off stream a few years ago, and I was like... I was like, oh, you know, I heard it was a really good game. I was like, okay, whatever. I don't really like the story that much. The characters are kind of annoying. I'd like the like hand-drawn art style kind of conflicts with the pixel art style. I was like nitpicking a lot of the things. And I just sort of like went through the main game, the main story, and I was like, okay, whatever. You know, that like the gameplay was fun, but it was nothing like fucking super special. I don't really know why people were freaking out about it. And then I played it on stream years later, and I was like, damn, this is one of the best fucking platformers I've ever played in my life. Like, I don't know if some games just benefit from, like, I was talking about this with Half-Life. There are certain games that I think benefit from having a second playthrough. I don't know if this is going to be true for anyone else, but if any of you have had that experience where you played Celeste and didn't really get it, didn't really understand why everybody was freaking out about it, do it again and do the side content. Do the B-sides and the C-sides and the farewell chapter. Oh my god. Some of the best 100%ing, like, serotonin I've ever felt in my fucking life. This game low-key kicks Super Meat Boy's ass, and I fucking love Super Meat Boy. Like, that's an awesome, awesome game. But in a lot of respects, I think Celeste just does it better. You know, at a certain point, like, they are very similar games, but some things are kind of apples to oranges. Let's just talk about Celeste rather than comparing it to Meat Boy. This game's got amazing music. It's got a wealth of content. Like, kind of a ridiculous amount of content, especially if you want to be a complete psychopath and truly 100% everything, including getting, like, the golden strawberries. I mean, if you want to 100% this game, you'll be playing it for the rest of your goddamn life. Plenty of people have 100%ed it, but it is truly ridiculous. And the side content is so good, And the music in the side levels is like awesome remixes of the music in the main levels, which is already good, but then the remixes are even better usually. Which you guys know how important to me a good soundtrack is in a game. I still, to this day, I don't know if I really 100% love the story. Like, I just didn't really personally connect with it that much. But it is, at the same time, I can relate to it. Like, it's just a game generally about, like, overcoming something. And, you know, if you want this to be funny depression indie game where it's about overcoming depression, then sure. But I think, you know, the tone of this game could be applied to a lot of people's just like personal problems in their lives about overcoming anything, really. And it's genuinely, it's like a really inspiring game, and you inspire yourself when you play this game because you see a challenge that's just ridiculously difficult, or it looks ridiculously difficult or impossible, and but your character in the game is so like it's not like you have an insane wealth of options open to you, but your character is like so OP that you can get through it, and you just feel like a god. But it's also not like you don't get handed victory on a platter. You get better at the game, you get used to the controls and how to like utilize every little bit of like the mechanic of dashing around and jumping, and it just makes you feel great. Like it was a really fun feeling getting better and better at this game, and taking on the harder and harder content. There were a couple of times someone just said I thought he was saying this about Shrek. There were a couple of times in Celeste where I did, like, I think this game has a pretty expertly designed difficulty curve. Like, Super Meat Boy just had some really frustrating, like, Dark World levels and shit, but this game barely ever felt unfair or bullshit. I really think, here's my word of advice, just, like, write this down if you ever plan on, like, playing this game and, like, doing all the completion shit, because you're not going to remember this. Just write it down. When you're doing, like, don't do all the C-sides before you do Farewell. Do Farewell and then do 8C. Alright? Because 8C introduces a mechanic that is explored very deeply in Chapter 9 Farewell. That it introduces it really briefly and then throws it at you in like a really high pressure moment. And I feel like this was a moment that worked a lot better before Farewell came out, but now that Farewell came out, it just feels like sloppy difficulty curve design. And that was something that really frustrated me. Those of you who watched the streams know that was like the one part of the game that I got like salty at, because it just felt unfair. It just felt like an outright fuck you. So what else can you say about this game? Oh, it's also got... Originally, this game was a Pico game. I think... is the general consensus that Celeste on Pico is, like, the best Pico game? Because I feel like that and Celeste 2 are, like, the only ones that come to mind in terms of good Pico games. Maybe there are other ones, but I played a few of them and never found anything anywhere near as good. The original Pico version is also fun. It is... in the game, like, you can just find Pico Celeste as like a mini game and play it in its entirety in the Steam version of Celeste, which is really cool. It's just a nice little bonus. But yeah, I don't know, some of the like dialogue and characters I just remember being like, okay, skip. And there was one thing in the middle of the game. This is a really super specific nitpick, but there's a part where the main character is having a panic attack and is thinking, they're like imagining a feather, like lifting a feather and lowering it in their mind with their breath. And I remember the minigame for the feather thing just being like really finicky and awkward. And I was like, this needs to be, in order for this to work, it should be like overall a relaxing minigame if it's meant to be a thing that your character is using to calm down. But it isn't. It just that one little thing feels kind of poorly designed. That's a huge nitpick, and it doesn't really matter overall, but that was just something that I remember sticking out to me. I really have to look far to like think of criticisms for this game now, though. It's just so amazing. Uh, I don't know, what else is there to say? You can skip all the cutscenes if you want, but that first time playing through the game, I just remember the feather thing just being like, that was sloppily done. This game's like a 9.5 out of 10 for me, though. It's just amazing. It's like almost transcendent playing, especially Farewell. I don't know if this is just because, like, I don't know if other people will have the same experience as me, but it was just really satisfying having that, like, okay, this all looks fucking impossible. And then, like, 1 hour later, you're like, oh, I did it. Cool. Like, that's such a great feeling. So, yeah, very cool. Yes, would recommend. It's fucking awesome. I almost would recommend anyone play this game. But again, I don't know. If there's one type of game that I am, like, probably better at than other types of games, it is platformers. So maybe take this with a grain of salt. Like, maybe I had a little bit of experience from doing, like, Super Meat Boy completion and shit like that. What did I rank Super Meat Boy? I gave it a 9, right? Yeah. It feels like a 9. Okay. And again, kind of apples to oranges to a certain degree, but they're both, like, you know, games full of spikes. That's the main uniting feature. Yeah, I don't know. Love that game. Love that game. Anyway, Shrek Fairy Tale Freakdown. Celeste doesn't deserve to be sandwiched between Goat Sim and Shrek Fairy Tale Freakdown. Minus 0.1 points for the toothbrush room in Farewell. Yeah, some of those rooms in Farewell are pretty fucked up, I will admit. The comb room, right? Shrek Fairy Tale Freakdown, this was a pretty nothing game. Most of the reason why I played this was because I saw we've seen the Shrek sprite from this game used in Salty Bet before, and he's kind of a fucking legend in Salty Bet. Like, he just dominates in that game. So I was like, I need to play the original Shrek Fairy Tale Freakdown. It's a one-on-one fighter on the Game Boy Color that doesn't have multiplayer, because it's on the Game Boy Color. I don't know did they have link cables for Game Boy Color? Because they had them for original Game Boy. But I don't think it even has link cable functionality. Like, I literally just don't think that's a thing. It's a single-player fighting game, which already insane amount of points docked. All the sprites are tiny because it's a fucking Game Boy Color game. I guess, like, the controls don't feel terrible, and it's not that much worse than, say, Street Fighter 2 on the Game Boy. But overall, it's just basically nothing. Like, there's almost nothing entertaining about it. Shrek lights his farts on fire for one of his moves. Pretty funny. And you fight a bunch of characters from Shrek. I don't know. I'm struggling to think of anything to say about this. It's kind of a lame game. It was really easy, too. Again, like the Game Boy Street Fighter 2, because the instant they're not trying to, like, fleece quarters off of you for every attempt is when they finally, like, crank the difficulty down in these fighting games. It's just kind of lame. Yeah, so 10 out of 10, better than Celeste. No, it's not very good. I'm really struggling to remember, like, basically anything about it. It is, like, functional, though. Like, it's not atrocious. It's just completely forgettable. I give it, like, a 3.5. Fuck it. Okay, Luftrausers. As is stated here, I did play the original of this, which is a Flash game. The review of that, I also did reviews for all the Flash games I played, because I am a sociopath. So if you want to seek out those VODs, they're on the same playlist as the playlist for the rest of the reviews streams. I always move them to the end because I figure they're probably the ones people are least interested in. But original Luftrauser is good. Luftrausers is even better, as would be expected, like Alien and Aliens. This is a game where you are fighting. This game has, like, Nazi vibes, but, like, the most okay use of Nazi vibes that I've ever seen in a game. This is by Vlambeer, right? Which they also made Nuclear Throne. Super Crate Box, a bunch of other great games. They have such a feel for satisfying like visual design and audio design, all the sound effects and the bullet impacts and just the screen shake and shit. Everything just feels super like bassy and satisfying. And I think this is a really interesting game. It's like dogfighting combat, and you can equip your plane with a bunch of different weapons and like hulls. 6,000 hulls! To try to use like different builds to varying degrees of success. I remember the laser was really good, if memory serves. I don't know how good it actually is, but I remember it being satisfying. But this is a very fun game. It's like the action. It's just very well designed arcadey action. I really like the dogfighting aspect of it. Like you actually have to fly around. You know, you can do some pretty goofy shit, but you have to fly around with like semi-realistic plane physics. Just realistic enough to be cool, while not being so realistic that it's like unsatisfying. But I really like, you can kind of like swoop up in the air, turn around in midair, kill your like thrusters, and just like fall backwards and shoot at people who are like chasing behind you, and then like peel out like right before you hit the water, and it's so fun and cool. Really awesome game, actually. This was one that I almost considered doing like a series on, but it is so satisfying to play, and it's got really cool music. I think the music changes depending on what build you're using too. Like different instruments and elements come in depending on what ship parts are, which is crazy. So yeah, good shit. It's a fun fucking game. It's not something that'll keep you occupied for like weeks and weeks, like I don't think the replay value is that insane on it, but while you're playing it, it's really, really fun. Definitely recommend. I'd give it like an 8, like a solid 8. Really cool arcade indie game. Okay, Kids. Here we are at Whack Games again. I think Kids is like the only good one out of these. Some of these were cool. Kids is the follow-up to Plug and Play. I think this is going to sound super lazy, but it is such a similar game to Plug and Play that I'm literally going to just take whatever I gave Plug and Play, 8, yep, sounds about right, and just give it to this, because it's not like the same game, but it's the exact same tone and like structure of game. Exact same kind of like vibe, visuals, sound effects. It's just instead of being about fingers and like sex, it's about children, and the way they behave in kind of an abstract way. It is cool, but I genuinely do feel Kid Named Finger. I do feel that it's basically exactly on the same level as Plug and Play. Ideally, if you're going to play these games, just do a double feature. Just do Plug and Play followed by Kids instantly. I think both games combined will maybe take like 20 or 30 minutes, if memory serves. But they are very cool. They're really well made, and the like visuals and sound effects are just great. Everything's very clean. I love games. It's kind of like Rhythm Heaven Fever, where it's just like, everything's got nice, clean, thick lines. It's very satisfying to my monkey brain. Okay, A Lullaby of Colors. This game was kind of lame. It's kind of a nothing game, where it's like it randomly generates this like color environment that you just float around in and basically do nothing. And there's like a bouncing color ball that you go in and touch, and you go to a different realm, but they all look basically the same, more or less, just with like very slightly different details. It is a cool looking world, but this is basically a stoner game where you like load it up, you like fucking download it off twitch.io, itch.io rather, and you go whoa, and then you never play it again because there's like nothing to it. Don't mean to be rude, it's just a very basic game. Could have had more development to it, even making it just so that the different like locations, open quotes, are more varietous. It was a bit of a letdown. Like 2.5, I don't know. It wasn't like, I don't mean to be rude, but there wasn't much game to it. Now find the letter H. Now this is a good game. It's not actually maybe a good game. But this is a funny game. This is like a shitpost game. Where there's this weird dude who's like, his looks are like randomly generated every time you open the game. There's like this shittily drawn guy who just like whispers sweet nothings about like finding the letter H in your ear and like gives you positive affirmations and says weird randomly generated text while letters flash up on screen, and you, whenever H shows up, you click on it and he goes, "Good job, we found a letter H. Let's put it in the box." And then it cuts to a box, and it shows the letter H going into the box with all the other letter H's, and then you go back to playing it, and there's like a slight difficulty curve. When you miss an H, it's not like, you lose. He just goes, that's enough H's for today. Let's move on. And then the session ends. It's really weird. This is another game that I feel like you would boot up once, giggle at it for a bit, and then never play it again because there's literally no replay value. But it's cute. I mean, it's very lo-fi. There's some insanely like lo-fi sort of like Flash-esque looking animations that show up on screen. A lot of it's randomly generated. I remember there's like little dots that you click on, and I think the game like keeps track of how many dots you've clicked on. Maybe it doesn't even do that, but they always do a little cute animation, like swoosh out of existence. That's literally all there is to this game. Like, I have just described everything about it. Actually, no, on the title screen, I remember there's like there's text somewhere that has an H in it, and if you click on that H, it like starts the game, which is kind of funny. Cute detail. It's not much though. I don't know. I'm gonna rank this higher than Lullaby of Colors. Fuck you, Lullaby of Colors. No, I think it's a free game. If it costs money, then that's ridiculous. It is mildly funny, but it's another one where I think if you watched my stream of it, you've basically got the experience out of it, and you don't need to check it out yourself. Maddening Relapse. This game was pretty cool. This was the one... it was kind of like that game Circa Infinity, where it's like a radial game, where you're a dude like running on the outside of this like radius thing, and when you jump, the like ground like shrinks away from you. It's really weird and kind of trippy. This game is neat. It's like a fun little arcadey style game. Kind of reminds me of Super Hexagon a little bit too, I guess. But I think if this game, a lot of missed potential here, because if this game had a little more polish and just a little more like features or a little more variety, something, it actually could have been like a really, really solid arcade game, like arcadey style indie game. As it stands, it's kind of rough around the edges. The like running animation of the main character looks like a placeholder, like it doesn't look finished. But it is actually, the elements of this game that are cool are really cool, and yeah, I feel like it's wasted potential. Fucking massive rip. Some of these games, when I'm saying if I recommend them or not, I'm also sort of taking into account that like it's gonna probably be hard to find this game. Like, I don't even know if people will be able to like find downloads for some of these, because a lot of these are things I got off the internet like ages and ages ago. So it's like, would it even, would it be worth seeking it out and finding it only to play it for like 3 minutes and then never again? But yeah, I don't know. If anybody wants like a cool game idea, just take this game's idea and then do it like better. Simple, sis. And no one will call you out for stealing an idea, because I don't think anybody knows this game. But it is cool. Give it like a 3.5. How about that? Digital Mnemonic Trip. This was one that before the stream I had to go look up and like look at the VOD and remind myself which game this even was, because I remember it was just one of the many trippy first-person walking simulators that we played on Whack Games. This one was particularly forgettable. It's just kind of trippy-ish looking environment with like lots of colors, but honestly even that one thing this game has going for it is like not that impressive. I don't remember there being basically any gameplay to it. It was just walking around these like weird glowing trees that didn't even really look that good. I don't know. Very disappointing. I regret playing this on stream because I feel like I just wasted everybody's time. Because other like trippy first-person walking sims have been better than this. Like a 1.5. There was almost nothing to it. David Lynch teaches typing. This was a funny joke game. It's yet another one that is basically just a video file that you type very occasionally to progress it. It was funny. I remember it being like basically humorous, and then it ends with like a creepy David Lynch-esque like horror scene. It kind of like devolves. I think it literally takes like 5 minutes to play. I don't know. It's one of those ones that will not be humorous at all to anybody who doesn't know stuff about David Lynch too. So if you're not familiar with David Lynch, this game truly has no value. Even if you do know David Lynch, again, just watch my stream of it. That's the entire experience. But it was funny. It made me laugh, and that's why it's not just a 1. So no, would not recommend, but it is funny. Moo Cartographer was pretty cool, actually. This was one of the neater ones. This one kind of reminds me of a game called Mirror Moon, where you're piloting an alien spaceship and you don't have instructions and nothing's labeled and you just kind of have to figure it all out by feel and trial and error. There was a certain point in this game where I got stuck and could not figure out... I don't even know if there's like any sort of progression in this game, but I couldn't figure out how to do things in this game, and I just sort of gave up and moved on. But it is interesting. It's just kind of a little... this one's also so hard to describe, but it's like a little 3D mapping thing with like a set of like unlabeled controls around it that do various things. And you can like invert the model of the landscape mass, and you can like rotate it, zoom in, zoom out, change like the colors of it. There's like some knobs that I have no idea what they're doing. They just seem to like warp everything. It's like the 4th dimension button. It's really cool. It's a very like abstract game. Yeah, I'd go ahead and say I recommend this one. I almost, if nothing else, just out of curiosity, because I want to know what secrets lie within this game, because it's very mysterious. And yeah, on stream, I just bumbled around with it for so long, and I was like, I can't figure out what to do. Nobody in chat knows what to do. I'm just gonna move on. But it was neat. It's like a 7. It's hard to say because I feel like I didn't like see the the bulk of the content in it, but whatever. Yes, much like Tunic. Paint game. This one was pretty lame. It was like load into this blank white environment and paint the walls. Fucking yippee. Like it really wasn't that exciting. There really wasn't anything special about it. It's like a unique-ish concept, but even then, it was like done kind of poorly. I remember whenever you painted something, it had this sort of annoying filter over it that I think was supposed to make it look more like strokes of a paintbrush, but it just ended up looking really shitty and blurry, like whatever you drew. There should have been a way to like adjust that filter. Maybe there was, and I just missed it, but there should have been some way to like turn that off or something, because otherwise it was just kind of bleh. And it's a pretty basic concept, but I still feel like the game was pretty anemic. Like they didn't have... I don't think there were really that many levels. There wasn't really a wealth of like tools you could use. It was really just you can select, I think, maybe the size of the brush and a color out of a palette, a pretty limited color palette. So wasted potential. Didn't really nail the concept, even though it had a pretty cute concept of just plop you into this blank world and have you paint things. But even then, I think if it had been done better, I probably wouldn't have spent that much time on it. I'd much rather play De Blob. So yeah, this was honestly pretty bad. give it like a 2. Okay, this is none. We got 3 Super Hot games, but none of these are the actual final release of Super Hot or Mind Control Delete or whatever the fuck that one's called. This is the original prototype of Super Hot. I remember playing this one over and over and over again. It's kind of a chicken and the egg situation where I don't know if I love this because I played it so much or if I played it so much because I love it. But this was the thing that introduced, to those of you who don't know, Super Hot is a first-person shooter where time only moves when you move, which is a very unique and fun concept that I think they did really well, even in this prototype, which then, I think, sort of gained traction on the internet, and they got a Kickstarter or something. I remember hearing, like, oh, you know, there's like a full Super Hot game. They did a Kickstarter, and I was like, what? I should have been in on that Kickstarter. What the fuck do you mean? I'll play the final game at some point on stream. I've already played it. It's no masterpiece, but it is cool. But I also think this prototype has some things that I think were actually done better than the final game. Like the little amount of story that it hints at the end of this prototype. There's like this real video of like a guy that like pops up and talks to you. I thought the stuff they were hinting at there was much more interesting than the stuff that they ended up doing in the final game that was very, like, stonery and, like, whoa, this is so meta, dude. And, like, it just came across really egregious, whereas I kind of liked the simple but weird thing they were doing in the prototype. Yeah, there's also the VR version of the game. But I think this prototype's actually really good, and I'm going to do something crazy, and I'm going to recommend this prototype, because I almost think if you don't want to play through the entirety of the main game, the actual finished game, this prototype's a pretty good substitute. Like, you get the basic experience, it's just, you know, there's a lot of features and polish that are in the final game that you don't get in this, but, it's good. Like, I remember getting great amounts of enjoyment just playing through this over and over again. It's short and sweet. I think it's got a good variety of levels for what it is, and it's got that like nice clean aesthetic and cool sound design and shit that the final game has. So it's pretty cool. One of the better demos I've ever played, and this is like, there's also a bunch of demos here. Hopefully I'll be able to get through Doom 2. That would be kind of nice if I could get those out of the way. I'm trying to think. This is going to be a stream where it's going to be difficult to think, because I always put 3 different games in the thumbnails for these. Celeste is one of them. I guess if I get to Doom, I'll do that. And maybe Super Hot, but even that feels like it would be, like, deceptive, because the actual fucking video game is not in here. This prototype is very cool, though, and I think honestly stands on its own weirdly well. Okay, Pico Hot. This is Super Hot, made in Pico. I don't know why they did this. It's really limited and rudimentary. It's like a first-person shooter. I mean, it's made by the same team that made Super Hot. They made this Pico version of it, which Pico, I guess I didn't explain it this stream, is like a coding project thing. It's like a virtual machine that you can like code games in that's very similar to like the software architecture of like a Commodore 64, I think. From what I've heard, I'm not a programmer, but it's something for game developers to do. It's kind of like using Pico is almost like an exercise trying to see how efficiently you can program something and how you can work within the constraints of a really rudimentary system. So Pico Hot is very rudimentary. I think you can't even move because there's no mouse look, and there's no like Doom like tank controls where you can look left or right. Your character is always facing one direction. The levels are ridiculously rudimentary. I think there's literally 3 levels in the entire game. And the graphics, of course, kind of look like ass because it's on Pico that has a really low resolution. It's not worth playing. It's not even very fun. It is interesting that they managed to put the time slow mechanic into Pico, I guess. Like, it almost just feels like they figured out they could do that, and we're just like, I mean, fuck it, let's just do this. So, I don't know. It's bad. but it is interesting. It's kind of neat what they managed to do, but not so neat. It's not as impressive as something like Poom. Like Poom was fucking insane that they managed to basically just put a Doom level into Pico. But the way they did that, also, they kind of, lest we forget, I don't think we've actually gotten around to reviewing Poom, but they kind of cheated with Poom because Poom is actually several Pico games. Each level is its own open quotes game because they had to get around the fact that Pico has really limited storage space. It's not worth playing. It's like a 1.5. It's really bad, and it's got like an endless mode, but it's just, why would you play this? Seriously, why would you play this? Play the prototype any day of the week over this. Then there's Super Hotline Miami. This is a game I don't even remember how I found this. I like stumbled upon this online ages ago. This had the potential to be really cool, but it's really poorly made. The menus look like shit, and like the UI just all looks like trash. And I remember the levels being freakishly, obnoxiously difficult by the end. I think I did beat this game, but like the last level or something was just stupid, and I remember being infuriated by this. It's also very bad. I guess it's a little better than Pico Hot. The first few levels, it's kind of like, oh, cool, because I guess I should explain. It's, in case it isn't obvious, it's a cross between Hotline Miami and Super Hot. It's the top-down, like, floor plan type gameplay as Hotline Miami, but they put in the Super Hot time slow mechanic. Could have been done a lot more artfully in a lot of ways. Yet more wasted potential. That's the common theme of this stream, I think. Give it like a 2. I considered giving it a 2.5, but no. No way. Okay, and now this is the demo stream that I did. The Stanley Parable demo, which it was also sometimes called the Stanley Parable demonstration. It's kind of inconsistent how they like did the notation on it. This is one of the coolest demos ever made. I would definitely recommend this, even if you've already played the Stanley Parable, because it is a unique demo, which is always a super cool move when developers do that. I remember specifically this demo got sent out to like a bunch of YouTubers. Specifically for me, I remember the Game Grumps playing it, or it was like Ross and Danny on Steam Train played it, and they had the narrator record like unique voice lines for them, where he's like, "Welcome, Danny and Ross, to the Stanley Parable demonstration," or whatever. It's just it's a really fun, cool, unique experience all of its own that almost has nothing to do with the actual Stanley Parable. It does set up like sort of the tone, the like self-aware, like metatone. Oh my god. I almost went da-da-da-da, but that is not metatone. It's a really neat, unique level that kind of sets up the tone of Stanley Parable without giving away what's going to be in the Stanley Parable. This is one of the most successful, maybe not successful, but to me, compelling advertisements for a game that I've ever seen, because it's completely free. They just made a unique level, and I think they did a really amazing job, and it's basically the same level of quality as the main game in terms of being funny and subversive. I like it a lot. This demo is really fucking cool. It shines compared to, for instance, Tiny and Big in Up That Mountain. The narrator is in Black Mesa. Is that true? He bought too many games. Now we gotta play them all. So all aboard the steam train. Doot, doot. Tiny and Big in Grandpa's Leftovers, as you guys know, is a personal favorite of mine. I really love that game. It's got flaws, but it's also got an amazing soundtrack and a great visual style and really cool core gameplay. I just love all the things to do with like carving apart rocks, cutting through them with a laser, cutting through gigantic things with a laser, and then tearing them down with your like grapple hook. Really fun. This demo is very lame, though. It honestly, like, it's another one where it's a unique level, which is cool. As I said, a based move by game developers, but it's very basic. I don't even think it has like music, if memory serves, or if it does, it's like very quiet and it's just a track from the game. I don't know. The world is very barren, and it definitely feels like a tech demo, rather than a demo that you would give to somebody to convince them to play the game, because I feel like this game, the demo doesn't really sell the game. And this is a game that like very few people give a shit about, and like 0.01% of that group of people even give a shit about this demo. So it's another one that's basically pointless to talk about. But no, I would not recommend it. It was a little awkward and weird. And I remember it being buggy too. There was some kind of like bug issue with it. Just play the main game. This is in huge contrast to the Stanley Parable demo. This one doesn't really work, in my opinion. Yeah, I did play that game on stream. I did a speed run of that. All right. What do I give this? And these are demos too. Like, again, don't worry too much about the number grade. It's like a 2. Like, I don't know. What little enjoyment I got out of this just came from the fact that it's tiny and big content that I hadn't seen before. I guess little fun fact about this game, I embarrassed myself when I was younger because when I remember seeing stuff about Tiny and Big in Grandpa's Leftovers and being like, oh, that game looks really cool. And I was talking to my friend Mitchell, and I remember seeing like Up That Mountain being mentioned somewhere. And I was like, oh, did you hear, Mitch? They're making a new Tiny and Big game. And he was like, what is that? And he like looked into it and he was like, that's the first game in the series, dude. And I was like, haha, yeah, I knew that. I was just kidding. Haha, I got you. But I really thought that this demo, which has a unique name, was the first game in the series. When I was pretending to know what the fuck I was talking about. So, little fun anecdote about that, where I look like a fucking asshole. But yeah, kind of lame demo, all in all. Didn't live up to the hype. The first Tiny and Big game. And by the way, I would love it if they made another Tiny and Big game. Maybe fix the physics a little bit. Maybe make it a little bit more Breath of the Wild. Make the speedruns crazy. Anyway, Undertale demo. Yes, that is how it's supposed to be capitalized. When the demo came out, this is what it was called. They didn't all caps the word Undertale. It was like camel caps or whatever the fuck they call that. Camel case is like the first one isn't capitalized, but the second one is, so I guess that doesn't really work. Anyway, that is not a clerical error. That's how the game's supposed to be written. This is literally just the ruins. I think there's like a few tiny differences here and there. There's actually there's several differences, and it is kind of interesting seeing the differences between this and the final game. But overall, this is just the ruins. But I think this is a game that gets away with that, with just being able to chop off the first level of the game and give it to you for free, and be like, here is a compelling, basically self-contained little microcosm of the game that will sort of show you what the game's all about, what it's like, without spoiling it totally for you, which is cool. And it's, again, kind of neat being an Undertale hyper fan, being able to go through and see the small differences here and there. It is compelling. I think a lot of the reason Undertale was so successful right out of the gate is because it had a really good demo like this that you can just download for free, play it easily, and it's really cool. And hints at greater things. I think fucking Papyrus and Sans like show up at the end of the demo and say, "Wait, it isn't our turn yet. We're not supposed to be here," which is kind of funny. It's good. Feels really weird ranking this, but I don't know, because I gave Undertale like a 9.5 or a 9 or something. So what the fuck do I even do for the number grade of this? I don't know. Just give it an 8 and move on. And then recommendation, it's like if you haven't played, this one's like, I'll say no because most people have probably already played Undertale if they're going to anyway, but if you're thinking about checking out Undertale, but you don't want to commit for whatever reason to paying, $10 for it, then I guess you can check out the demo. It's a pretty good demo. Wasteland Kings. This is not really a demo. This was a little backstory here. This is another Vlambeer game, same people who made Luftrausers. There are these things, to those of you who do not know, called game jams, where developers will set a specific amount of time where they need to create a game, usually within certain like parameters too. And I think this was a Humble Indie Bundle hosted thing called Mojam. I think it was like Mojam 2 or something like that. They had a bunch of developers get together and make games based on like randomly selected phrases. And I think Wasteland King or something was the phrases that they drew out of the bag. And this is the game that would eventually become Nuclear Throne. So it's essentially a prototype of Nuclear Throne. It's kind of fun. It's very like buggy because it's a game jam game. I don't think I would recommend this. Just play Nuclear Throne. Like Nuclear Throne is just better. But it is interesting, and it was the clear. Like I remember playing the other games that came out of this game jam because it was one of those. It was on humblebundle.com. If you paid a certain amount to like support the thing, then you just got all the games for free. And I remember playing the other games, and there was one of them that was like Pizza Cat Nightmare or something. All the rest of them were lame. This one was actually pretty fun, and it ended up becoming kind of a legendary game, which is neat. Wasteland Kings is like playing Nuclear Throne with all your fingers taped together. Yeah, sure. I assume it's a much shorter experience, but it is cool. It's kind of like Downwell, you know, where at the end of the level they give you an option of a few different power-ups. You select them. There's random elements. I think there's randomly generated levels, just like Nuclear Throne has. Whatever. The game is cool. It's like a 6. It's pretty rudimentary and like glitchy, and there's really no reason to go back and play it, except for anthropology. I don't know. How long have I been going here? An hour and a half? That's not too bad. I'm still feeling it. Let's try to go through like Sopranos Road to Respect. Get up to 400 or 399. Let's try doing that. Doom and Doom 2. I feel like I could talk about these games for fucking ages, so I'll try to keep it quick. Doom is actually fun, and I never played it until just a year ago or something at this point. But I was not expecting it to be as actually fun as it is. It is a genuinely enjoyable video game. Of course, if you're playing with like mouse look and but honestly, even some of the things that feel dated about it, like the inability to look up and down unless you're using like GZ Doom or whatever, or it's Final Doom, you can hit page up and page down. We've been through this a million times. Even that stuff, it's just enjoyable on its own. It's a genuinely fun game, pretty well designed for the most part. Some of the levels kind of suck, and the difficulty curve, especially like playing Doom 1, a lot of it was really easy, but it certainly wasn't a complete pushover game. And if you're playing Thy Flesh Consumed and Sigil, the 4th and 5th episodes that got added later, you're in for some pain. But it's just a really cool game. I kind of put it alongside Half-Life as one of those games that I know way too much about at this point, where it's just been analyzed over and over again by so many people that the game basically has no secrets to it anymore, where like everybody like has found the original sources of all the sound effects and all these there's a lot of really interesting like coding errors and oversights, and there's like holes in some of the sprites. This game was of course revolutionary at the time. There were first-person shooters at the time, but the engine that Doom was in really was a step up from anything previously accessible, like Wolfenstein 3D or Rise of the Triad, which I don't know if I'll ever go back and play those, because they just don't seem like that much fun. But it's a fun fucking game, and it's got cool visual design. I call this game cute in a way, because it seems to have, a sense of like edginess to it, but really, compared to stuff that we see nowadays, it's just like nothing. It's totally tame. And it's got that kind of like college metalhead vibe to it that is just kind of adorable. It's a genuinely really fun game. It's not like one of my favorite games of all time or anything. I would probably give original Doom like an 8.5. But it's worth playing. And yes, I played both on GZ Doom and the Bethesda version on Steam. The Bethesda version is like a little hokey, and GZ Doom is just the better way to do it because it's just got more options. But the Steam version, I've heard bad things about it, but I didn't think it was that terrible. The one weird thing is like censorship. There's like one room that has a swastika in it, and it's in reference to Wolfenstein 3D. The developers are not Nazis or promoting Nazi ideology, but they like changed that to be some other weird symbol. And the health pickups are green instead of red because they were worried about like the Red Cross. Because I guess showing a Red Cross in video games is actually like big bad. And that's why doesn't Earthbound, I think like in Japan it has a Red Cross on like the hospitals, but in America they got removed for that reason. Then Doom 2 is basically just better than Doom 1, in my opinion. It's got some kind of stinky levels, but some of the levels that I see other people consider stinky, like the Chasm and Barrels of Fun, and even a few of the city levels, like I don't mind that much. Some of the city levels are bad and like disorienting and just kind of lame. Like those are probably the worst part of the game, but they're not like unbearable or anything. They're just kind of weird. And I like the weird gimmick levels, like tricks and traps. So cool. I love that one. It just feels like they really started to have fun with the systems that they had created in Doom 1 when they made Doom 2. There's also, of course, the super shotgun. You get literally one more weapon than the original game, but it's all you need. The super shotgun is fucking glorious. You get just like a few more enemy types that are pretty compelling. I think just this game had a really good sense of like, there are some parts that almost feel like bullshit. There are some parts that are bullshit. The very end of Tricks and Traps can go fuck right off. But this game's really good at throwing you into situations where it's like, oh, I got surprised by a big group of demons that spawned in behind me, and now I need to think on my toes and find what weapon's best for the situation, and dodge well and shit like that. I don't know. Maybe get them to infight. I just really compelling combat situations, like shockingly so for how old of a game it is, and I think for how short of a dev period this game had. They made this game in like 8 months or some bullshit, right? So, yeah, right. The game where there's demons and Satan couldn't have Nazis. I mean, Nazis, to be fair, Nazis are real. But Doom 2 Hell on Earth, very cool. It's very similar to the first game, but a lot of things I just think are better. If you are a weirdo who is absolutely pressed for time and wants to play a classic Doom, but doesn't have the time to play both of them, just play Doom 2, I think. Normally I wouldn't say to like skip like that, but you're really not missing too much by skipping Doom 1. Doom 1 also had like the whole like shareware thing. Like Doom 2 is just a series of levels. They're like roughly broken up into 3 episodes, but the first game also has like the episode structure. And I think that's why it was so popular. It was because of the shareware version. Isn't it true that original Doom had more downloads than Windows? Like more computers at a certain point in like 1998 or whatever had Doom on them than had Windows, which is fucking insane. But yeah, I don't know. These are both incredibly solid games. Yes, I would recommend Doom 2. There are also, of course, tons and tons of mods for Doom 2. And WODs and custom levels that you could just spend a lifetime perusing, and there's lots of really interesting or funny stuff. Gosh, I feel weird giving Doom 2 a 9 out of 10. I almost think I'm going to just give both of these an 8.5, but I feel weird giving them the same score. I think original Doom's going to get an 8. I think that feels reasonable. It just doesn't feel like Doom doesn't feel like an 8.5, and Doom 2 doesn't feel like a 9. This feels for real. But they're very cool games, and I think for how old they are, it's shocking how fun they are, and how just on a basic level cathartic and enjoyable they are, and mostly well designed. There's some iffy bullshit like line defs. I have an issue with line defs. There are certain levels where, in order to trigger the opening a door that's like the way to like necessary progress, there's just a random unmarked spot on the ground that you need to walk over. That shit is bullshit. Get that out of my face. Doom is as good as the Undertale demo. Yeah, shut up. I see the kappa, don't worry. But Doom and Doom 2, very highly recommendable games. They're awesome. Kart Fighter. This is a fucking dumb bullshit game. For some reason I bought a physical copy of this. I think it was because we did Kart Fighter Balls and Shaq Fu all in one stream, and I was like, fuck it. Instead of emulating these, I'm gonna get the console out for each one of them, and it was a huge pain in the ass. This is a rudimentary, shitty, glitchy, unfun, unresponsive, poorly executed Street Fighter 2 clone on the NES. It's really bad. The game is barely functional. It's a shitty bootleg with Mario characters, and it's really not even that funny. Like, there's Chun-Li, Peach. There's some of these characters in this game we've seen on Salty Bet, that'll be fun when we see them on Salty Bet at some point in the future, and I can go, oh my god, Kart Fighter! But it's not worth playing. Even on emulator, it runs terribly. There's tons of like lag, and whenever the two sprites are like next to each other, the game just like fucking freaks out and can't handle it. There's like weird layering issues. It's really bad. Like 2 out of 10. Would not recommend. I really don't have anything else to say about it. Balls. This is a weird one. 3D Fightin' Balls is what this game is also often known as. I think that's what it says on the cartridge. The developers of this game, I always like to say this fun fact, the developers of Balls would later go on to create the hit internet game Facade, which is the one about, what is the guy's name? Trip and his wife. It's like the AI game where you like go into a room and they're like, hey, talk to us with the text window, blah, 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 pick up the bowling ball. You guys know Facade. So, yeah, the people who made 3D Fightin' Balls later went on to make Facade, the okay, you need to leave game. Yeah. Just a fun fact. This game is very crude. It's a game, I mean, the game's name is Balls, but it's like a weird pseudo 3D. It's one of those games that sort of gives the illusion of being 3D, kind of like Doom. Doom is fascinating. I could talk about Doom for years. But it's like every character is composed of a bunch of 2D sprites of balls that move together in a way that makes it look like they're in a 3D environment and moving around. It's kind of neat. The controls in this game, I don't even know how to describe them, but they feel really weird, and maybe kind of unresponsive, or almost like too responsive. Like finicky. I would call the controls in this game finicky, but it's a one-on-one fighter where you're playing as different ball characters. It's got funny like penis music. Like the songs that play in this game are essentially penis music. There's like a sassy, there's like a board in the background that always has like weird images flashing on it, or it's like a narrator that says various funny things, open quotes funny, like nibble some knuckle and you're splat on the mat. It's very 90s, aggressively 90s, and it's another one of those ones that's like, oh, how cute. They're being crude, you know? But it's not terribly fun. I think of these 3 games that we did that one stream, I would probably recommend Balls the most, but I still don't think I would recommend it just outright. It's just, I don't know. It's not terribly fun. It is funny, though. It's a better streaming game than Kart Fighter. Like we really barely got anything out of Kart Fighter. It's definitely better than Kart Fighter 2. Maybe like a 5.5. Better than Super Mario Bros? No. No. It's not better than Super Mario's. 4.5. Shaq Fu is really bad. I seem to remember that there's a SNES and Genesis version of this game, and I forget which one has more characters. I need to look this up, actually. I think we played the version that has more characters. Shaq Fu, Genesis... this is going to take so long to figure out. I think we played the version that had more characters and that is considered the better version of the game. I could be wrong. They're both pretty crap. It's a very unfun fighting game with Shaq in it. And it's like... They tried to create a whole Shaq-verse where there was I don't even know what was fucking going on. They were trying to create a Saturday morning cartoon style universe for Shaq to occupy that was a fantasy world. There are some things in this game that are vaguely funny, kind of like balls, but it's not worth playing. It's a very unsatisfying game. The controls are very sluggish and bad. This game was made by Delphine, right? If I recall correctly. Let me look it up, actually. Or Delphi, who were, Delphine Software International, who previous to this had made point-and-click adventure games. They were the studio that came out with Another World, I believe, otherwise known as Out of This World. And you can tell from the sprites that they're more into the animation of the sprites is actually pretty fluid and good. But it's clear that they have very limited experience making fighting games. It just isn't fun, and the moves just feel awkward and weird, and the animations just strange. While being nice and fluid, they just don't seem like they fit for a fighting game. So, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Give it a 3, I think. Now, Dino Run DX... This is another one where I played the original Flash version of it, and then I played the DX version. I think I could be wrong, but I believe this is the rare instance of the devs of a game sending me the game, sending me a Steam key, and I actually enjoyed playing it. It was a fun game. I only played it for a little bit. This game... The thing that sticks out in my memory more than anything else is the fact that this game has a ludicrous amount of hats in it. There are... I don't even want to, probably literally over 200 hats that you can wear in this game, and they're just references to, everything. I believe there are multiple hats in this game that are the heads of characters from Psychonauts, for instance. Just an ungodly amount of dumb little hats for your little dinosaur guy. I do think the DX version doesn't really have much more, for me at least. It might have more content in terms of long-term playing it, but as a guy who played a little bit of the Flash version and a little bit of the DX version, it didn't really seem like the DX version was that worth it, but it is fun. It's a neat little game where you're running away from, I believe, the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, or maybe just a volcanic eruption. It's got a neat little pixel art style that doesn't look like shit, because it's really easy for pixel art to look bad in an indie game, but it's pretty well done. It's got cool sound effects. It's got cute little moments, like when you're running up the back of a brontosaurus and shit like that, or when you grab onto the wings or the legs of a pterodactyl as it's flying by and let it carry you for a bit. It's got cheat codes too, I seem to remember. That was kind of fun to mess around with. It's a basically fun game, but it's not one that I would ever find myself getting absorbed in for a super long time. Maybe give it a 7? I don't know. I think 7 sounds about right. And yes, but this yes is with the asterisk that you could probably also just play the original version and get just about the same amount of enjoyment out of it. How many games do we got? Like 550 on this list? I think it's around 550. Yeah, 565. So if I can get up to 400 or 399 today, that's pretty satisfying. Like, we're getting through this. God damn it, I'm going to catch up on this list, and then it's going to be so satisfying. I'm going to be able to, like, we're going to sort by the rating, and we're just going to see, I'm going to get a pure serotonin hit. It's going to be like taking a straight shot of black tar heroin, just seeing the list of all the games I gave, like, 9.5 and 10 to, you know. I've also, like, I've never really put a ton of thought into what my, like, favorite games of all time are, so this is almost like I'm exploring that. So when people ask me what are my favorite games, I can actually give them a concise answer that is not, like, forgetting anything. I don't know. I'm sure, I don't know, are there any games that are, like, some of my favorites that I've not streamed? Okay, whatever. Dino Run DX is kind of neat, but it's nothing too crazy. Space Cadet, Sun and Moon. This is a cool indie game. I actually own the soundtrack for this game on cassette. Don't ask why. It's a cool soundtrack, though. It's like, it's got, like, the same tune and the same, like, rhythm going throughout the entire soundtrack, but it, like, each level, it, like, changes and evolves in really cool ways, which I think is really interesting. But it's a good soundtrack, too. It sounds great. This game is very fun until it gets really frustrating. Like, this is one that had the Super Meat Boy issue. It's a 2D platformer, precision platformer type thing with a really neat, unique mechanic that's really difficult to describe. It's like you hold down a button and it makes it so that you can, like, treat solid ground as though it's water. It's very cool. And it like reverses your physics so that you sink upward when you're, like, in solid ground. It's very like strange and hard to describe. And they expand on it in a few ways too that are interesting. And it's really, really fun for a while. And there's a fuck ton of levels in this game. But at a certain point, I just found myself getting to a bunch of levels that just felt like a complete brick wall. Like, they were just stupidly difficult. Some of them were just so infuriating and frustrating, and I remember getting really mad on this stream, honestly. Like, I remember the salt levels were really high. But it is neat. It's fun to play for a while, at least, and if you really love, like, CBT challenges, I guess go for it, like, 100%ing this shit. But I didn't have it in me to even, like, complete the game. I thought it was maybe going to be like a multi-part series, but even on the first stream by the end, I was just like, damn, I hate these levels. Like, these are infuriating to play. And it has this kind of, like, menu system, like the map. You can go around to different levels. Like, it's not, like, completely linear. So if you get stuck on a level, you can, like, go to a different level elsewhere. But there just came a point where I was like, all these, like, dead ends are here because I just can't get past these certain levels, and it's so frustrating. But the game itself, like, the parts of it that I enjoyed, I really enjoyed and thought it was a really fun platformer with good music. And it's got a neat, simple visual aesthetic that I think works really well. Mixed feelings, mixed fucking bag on this one, honestly. Let's give it, like, a 7.5. Fuck it. And yes, but keep in mind that you may very well end up getting frustrated at this game like I did. Maybe you'll do better. I don't know. Maybe I just suck. But now we got the real shit. Space Cadet 3D Pinball. This is hard to rank. I'm not, like, a pinball guy. And this is something I played. This was during the nostalgia stream where I played, like, old, like, you know, standard Windows games. Like, I actually have nostalgia for Space Cadet 3D Pinball and Dinosaur Game and Google Pac-Man. These aren't old Windows games, but Minesweeper I didn't. I just threw that in there because it's a common nostalgia game. Although now I love Minesweeper. Space Cadet 3D Pinball is basically fun. It's got cool sound effects. It also has music, and I never knew as a kid how to enable the music, but when I streamed it, people were like, yeah, there's music, and I turned it on and I was like, what? But I mean, a lot of these sound effects are burned into our brains, you know, like, I don't know, I can't even imitate them, but I don't know if that's really good sound design or if it's just the fact that this game was so ubiquitous and everyone had it that everybody like knows all these sound effects. But it is a satisfying game to play. I think it wouldn't have been as fondly remembered if it like sucked, you know. But in the end, it's just pinball. I don't know, maybe I'm going to sound like an asshole here, but a lot of pinball just kind of blends together for me because it's all just variations on the same format. But I don't know, it's whatever. This is really hard to give a ranking or a recommendation to. I guess I would say no, because the only real reason you'd go and play this is if you had nostalgia for it, you know? And if you have nostalgia for it, you've already played it, so I don't need to recommend it to you. That's the mental gymnastics that I'm doing here. What the fuck letter, like, number grade do I give Space Cadet 3D Pinball? Agonizing over this. I don't know. It's, like, fine. I'll give it a 5. Fuck it. Right around the same level of quality as Super Mario Brothers. Right around the same level of enjoyment. The number is the amount of enjoyment that I got out of the game. Lest we forget, lest we get off track here. Now, Minesweeper, here's a fucking game. When I was playing it on stream for the first time, I sucked at it, but I actually ended up, I have this game on my phone, and I play it pretty constantly. Just when there's, like, moments of downtime, you know. And might I say, I've gotten really fucking good at Minesweeper, and maybe not, like, amazing, I'm not a speedrunner or anything, but it's really fun and compelling for how simple it is and how simple and basic the graphics and the rules are for this game. I've heard that someone said this is like rating Microsoft Word. Yeah, it's like ranking chess. It's a very fun game. I'm aware that there is like Hexa Sweeper or whatever, where it's like Minesweeper but with hexagons instead of squares. I might check that out at some point. It sounds kind of interesting. But overall, I think this is like, you know, beautiful simplicity. Like they stumbled upon a really compelling game idea, and it's actually really fun. And I find it to be a nice fun puzzle. Minesweeper's kind of like my equivalent of, you know, doing the crossword or doing Sudoku. Like a lot of people enjoy doing. I like doing Minesweeper. So yeah, you know. I should mention that the version of this that I played was like Minesweeper X, which is like a free version of it online that you can get. I don't know why I didn't write it down in here. That's bad notation. But it's basically identical to the original Minesweeper. And then I also got this like version on my phone, which I think it makes a pretty goddamn good mobile game. So would recommend if you like a little puzzle and you somehow don't know about Minesweeper. It's actually pretty fun. There's a surprising amount of like strats and like logic that go into it, and like little situations where there's like a specific thought puzzle where you're like, how can I determine what the safe spot is here? How can I, even if it's like there's no safe guess, you can even just use like statistics and probability kind of to deduce, which feels fun. It's very satisfying. Yes, would recommend. This is one of those ones that whatever number I give it, people are going to compare it. I don't know, I've gotten a ton of enjoyment out of Minesweeper, okay? Yeah, fuck it. Minesweeper is as good as, like, Super Mario Sunshine. Fuck you. I'm giving it the same rank as, like, the Undertale demo. Hold on, what did Mario Sunshine get? 8.5. It's as good as Super Mario 3D World. Eat my ass. It's a fun game, despite how basic it is. Okay, dinosaur game. This is the Google Chrome like disconnect offline game where you play as the little dinosaur and you jump over the cactuses. This was a version of it that was online where you could replace it with other graphics too. It had like Joker mode, like Joaquin Phoenix Joker mode, which was kind of funny. It's a fun enough game, but it's very rudimentary and it doesn't have. I mean, it's Minesweeper is also basic, but Dinosaur Game really basically only amounts to one or two like motor skills with just jumping at the right times. So it's definitely not nearly as compelling as something like Minesweeper, but it is a nice time killer, and I remember it actually coming in handy quite a few times in school when like the internet was out or whatever. I just wanted to like play something on the library computer and didn't want to like boot up a full game. Just play the fucking Dinosaur Game. It's not the worst. I don't know. Whatever. Like a 4. And this is another one where recommending it. I mean, what the fuck do you mean? Do you recommend the Dinosaur Game? I guess play it a couple times if your fucking internet goes out and you using Chrome. I don't know. Now, Pac-Man, this is the Google Doodle that had Pac-Man. I think whatever rank I give this should be, because let's keep it real here. The word Google was not made to be a good level design. Like I remember when I was like playing it, being like, it's a cute gimmick, but it's not as well laid out as the original Pac-Man maze or as the Miss Pac-Man maze. So I think whatever grade I give this should just be less than the grade for the original Pac-Man. So let's give it like I don't know. And it's only like one level. Let's give it like a 4.5. Because like it still is Pac-Man and it's still fun to a certain degree, but it's not really something worth seeking out. It's not like, oh, this is better than the original or anything. It's whatever. It's fucking Google Doodle Pac-Man. It's just a cute thing. It's not even meant to. Nobody who worked on that game, the one guy that made that game, did not expect anyone to ever like rank it among actual real video games. Now, maybe we'll do Grow Home today. It's so hot in my room, but I'm kind of on a roll here, I think. I'm enjoying cranking them out. Let's just keep going and see. Sopranos Road to Respect. This was a bad game. It was kind of funny because this game actually has unique... I think the creators of The Sopranos, I forget, David Chase, I think is his name. David Chase actually worked on the plot of this game, and it's like a unique plot. It's not like retelling anything that happened in the show or anything. So if you like look on the Sopranos wiki and look at like the chart of like all the characters and their presence in the series, there's like this one weird chunk that has like Sopranos Road to Respect that's like in between seasons 6 and 7 or some bullshit like that. This game it was kind of funny. It was a funny comedy game to stream, at least a little bit. I don't think we even beat the game, but like plenty of funny things happened. There is the "You Got Whacked" cutscene, which is really funny. They've got like high detail cutscenes where they tried to have like realistic graphics of Tony Soprano and shit, and it looks cursed as fuck, and it's really funny. There's the weird blooper reel that y'all saw on stream that's just included in the game. There's these really weird, stilted, like, interviews with the voice actors, because they brought in a bunch of the actual voice actors. But overall, it's a really terrible... It's not... I want to call it, like, a GTA clone, but there's no, like... Is there even driving? I don't think there's even driving, let alone, like, a open world aspect. It's like fucking Final Fight Streetwise. That's like the closest comparison that I can think of. But I don't know. It's funny because you play... The main character is the son of Pussy Bompensiero, and Big Pussy himself like appears as a ghost to like talk to you, and it's kind of funny. But really, I mean, if you're a big fan of The Sopranos, you're not going to get basically anything out of this game besides laughing at how bad it is and how weird all the characters look. yeah, I don't know. There's also just straight up nudity in this game that got the main channel video demonetized, even though we censored all of it because the characters work in a strip club and they did not censor that in the game. So there's fun titties. If you want to see fun PS2 titties, go play Sopranos Road to Respect. But yeah, it's a bad game. It's not fun. It's a B game. Any enjoyment you'll get out of it is just laughing at it. And that amount of enjoyment will be expressed with this number. 3.5. Sure. No, would not recommend. Yeah, it's like Yakuza. That's true. People said it was like shitty Yakuza. I have never played Yakuza, so I wouldn't know. But from what little I've seen of Yakuza, yeah, it does seem like shitty Yakuza. Anyway, I guess I'll review Grow Home. This is a very cute, fun game. Nice little visual style. I believe this is made by Ubisoft Montreal, who also brought us Rayman Origins and Legends. I could be wrong on that. It's like one of those like Ubisoft like indie studios. But I think this game has like, you know, a simple yet effective visual style. It's a very serene game. A lot of it is just hearing like the little clicks and chirps of your little robot guy and his footsteps and his climbing sounds as there's very like ambient music and like wind whistling through your hair. It's a very serene experience. It's just nice to look at. Kind of makes me think of like Wind Waker, where most of the fucking screen is blue at any given time. And it's very like bloomy. And just very, I don't know, just very calming, a very calming game. And it's got a really sort of neat mechanic too. It's a platformer where you're like growing these huge vines out of the ground and trying to reach a spaceship in the sky. By connecting the vines to each other and connecting them to these planets that grow out more vines. It's very cool. And I don't know, it's got like a satisfying little climbing mechanic. I remember while playing it on stream, I was like, I'm not going to 100% this. And then after the stream, I remember playing it a bunch more and 100%ing it, or at least getting all the like crystals and shit. Because it's just kind of fun. It's something about it like scratches that itch for me. Of sort of a satisfying collectathon. I did not do the thing where you like catalog all the enemies and shit. There were certain other things that just seemed like a pain in the ass. But surprisingly fun game for how basic and simple it is, really. Fun, like I like gliding on the leaves through the air. That's just really simple and satisfying, and the controls feel kind of clunky sometimes. Like I said that your controls are randomly generated while I was streaming it. That was of course a joke, but it's like procedural character animation. And sometimes it kind of fucks up, and sometimes it feels like your character just drops the thing that they're holding for like no reason. But those moments are very few and far between, and they're usually not terribly frustrating. Very fun game. It's neat. I give it like an 8.5. Would recommend. And I will play the sequel, Grow Up, at some point. Now, I think this is a perfect place to cut it off, because this is right where I started doing spooky games for a while. So next stream, I'll just crank out all these spooky games. And then Metal Slug. And then Jazz Punk. And then Ren and Stimpy, Stimpy's Invention. Oh god, the crapper fucking like Genesis games. They weren't as bad as the shitter NES games, at the very least. And then we got Pico games, Whack games, Sonic, Bullet Hells, Kingsfield. We got a lot to look forward to. Very cool, though. I'm happy with how much we got done today. I thought I was going to stop at like Wasteland Kings, but we actually got through a lot. Like I said, we're going faster because there's some like low-profile games that don't require very much time to be spent on them. So that's it for today, I think, folks. No more stream. It is very hot in my room. I'm going to turn on the fan and I'm going to lie down and I'm going to go... But yeah, I don't know. I hope you got a kick out of that. The real takeaways here... I guess Grow Home can go in the thumbnail, or maybe Minesweeper. But we got some games to put in the thumbnail. Some actual games that people will recognize, not fucking digital mnemonic trip or whatever. Find the letter H right smack dab in the middle. But hope you guys got a kick out of this. I almost kind of dread these streams because I'm always worried that I'm going to be inarticulate or whatever, but they usually go pretty well. And it's just such a huge undertaking, but guys, we are near the end. We're pretty close. Less than 200 games remain. And I know that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but we're almost in the home stretch. So if you guys want to see the spreadsheet, if you want to like look at my opinions, at my hot takes, I guess I'll post a link in the chat, and we will I'll share it in the description of the VOD as well. I hope you guys have a lovely day. I have nothing else left to say. Miniquini!